is because of a moratorium that dealt with shallow water, not deep water where the BP is. There's a distinction between the two. The chair recognizes the gentleman from California, Mr. McClintock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to get back to the Klamath Basin for a second. It might not be as visually graphic, but it is not insignificant. It's the loss of 4 hydroelectric dams, 155 megawatts of hydroelectricity, the loss of a fish hatchery that produces 5 million salmon smolts a year, $1 billion of taxpayer and ratepayer costs, all driven, we're told, by the best available science. Now, we spent nearly all 5 minutes allocated to my first round of questioning, Ms. Kendall, with you denying that you knew anything about a complaint by the Bureau of Reclamation's Scientific Integrity Officer, Dr. Paul Hauser, documenting intentional falsification of scientific data related to the Klamath Basin, all to drive the decision to a predetermined conclusion. In the final seconds of my allotted time, you appear to have had a recollection when I asked about a scientific integrity case provided on your office's own manifest entitled Finkler, Kira et al. So with your memory freshly restored, I'd like to know, first and foremost, have we at least now established that the scientific integrity case entitled Finkler, Kira et al., status closed, final report not available, listed on your office's manifest, involves the complaint by Dr. Hauser?
I know it involves Dr. Hauser. I don't know if it involves his complaint.
All right. Then can you tell me what? So the Office of the Office of the Inspector General then did know about his complaint, and my next question to you is, what did the Inspector General's office do to investigate this most detailed complaint by the Scientific Integrity Officer of the Bureau of Reclamation?
Congressman, I'd have to get back to you on that because I simply don't know the answer to it.
Could you tell me? Then you can't tell me what you discovered from that investigation, which is not an insignificant or insubstantial matter. Ms. Finkler, whose name is on the manifest, was Dr. Hauser's boss. When Dr. Hauser raised these concerns internally, her response was to fire him. She was an employee of Trout Unlimited, which is an interested party to the Klamath Basin Agreement. She did not recuse herself from being involved in these discussions, and in fact fired the whistleblower hired by the Bureau of Reclamation to assure the scientific integrity of the data that is driving this entire proposal. Her response was to fire him. Now, don't you think that, doesn't it strike you as significant that the official who fired Dr. Hauser was precisely the same official that he accused of official misconduct in falsifying this data and who had an obvious and glaring conflict of interest?
Congressman, I'm listening to what you're saying, but it doesn't help me because I really don't know about this case.
You're the watchdog. You are responsible for assuring the integrity of the scientific data that is driving these policy proposals.
Congressman,
why aren't you?
I have many.
Where's the outrage?
I have many people on my staff who work these issues on behalf of the Office of Inspector General. I apologize. I don't know the details about this one.
Well, you've got a row of folks behind you. Do any of them know?
Congressman, we'd be glad to get back to you and provide details about this. I simply don't know them today.
Well, I'll tell you what I would ask for is all of the documents related to Dr. Hauser's complaint. I would like to know, why was the case closed? Why is there no report available? I assume you cannot provide me information on any of these questions?
I don't have the information today, no.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I think that this is significant enough, and this omission is glaring enough to call for a separate hearing on this subject. As I said, it is not an insignificant matter. It has huge fiscal and economic and environmental ramifications for the entire Pacific Northwest. It all hinges on what we're told is the best scientific data, when the Science Integrity Officer has been blowing a whistle warning us that that data has been deliberately corrupted, and the Inspector General, so far as I can tell at this hearing, has done precisely nothing. We need to look into this, and we need to look into this before any further activity is taken on the Klamath. And I think that we also ought to get in our possession,
Mr. Chairman,
all of the documents
parliamentary inquiry.
related
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Chairman.
The gentleman will state his inquiry.
Yes. The rules of this committee, Mr. Chairman, require that members contain their questions to the subject matter of the hearing. Those are the rules of this committee.
Well,
Did your invitation, Mr. Chairman, parliamentary inquiry, did your invitation, Mr. Chairman, invitation letter to Ms. Kendall, notify her that this Klamath issue would be a topic for today? And if not, then I would ask that this line of questioning be ruled out of order, because there is an implication being made by this gentleman that Ms. Kendall is not answering his questions when she was invited here under the rules to answer a whole other set of subject material, and under our rules she was coming here knowing that other material could not be put before her. So I would just ask for a ruling on that.
Mr. Chairman.
The gentleman asked a parliamentary inquiry into whether the gentleman from California's line of questioning was within the scope of this hearing. And I would tell the gentleman from Massachusetts that the title of the hearing is as such. Oversight of the actions, independence, and accountability of the acting Inspector General of the Department of Interior. And then the invite letter goes on to talk about the conduct of the Inspector General, and 4 specifically, independence and effectiveness of the Inspector General in acting capacity, and then 5 on the invite letter of the second paragraph, and other matters. And the gentleman from California is talking about other matters, so it falls within the scope.
Mr. Chairman,
it falls within the scope of the hearing today. The gentleman from
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I would also, because I still had time remaining before the gentleman from Massachusetts interrupted me, point out that the Klamath Basin issue was raised in the chairman's letter to Ms. Kendall dated May 30th, 2012, and was referred to in her letter back to the chairman dated July 20th. So this is not unexpected for her. It was raised in the letter. She responded specifically on this issue in the letter back to the committee, which I have already asked to be entered into the record. I would suggest the gentleman from Massachusetts read his briefings more carefully before he comes to meeting.
The gentleman had some time, and I'm anticipating he had approximately 30 seconds left in his time. If the gentleman yield back. In response then to the ranking member, this falls with the line of questioning from the gentleman from California falls in line with the invitation to the acting Inspector General. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Northern Marianas.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, going on 4 years that I've served on this committee, there are, we take votes, we have hearings. There are times when I agree with the other side, and there are times when I disagree with my side, and there are times when I take a vote that bears hard on me. The vote we had yesterday, Mr. Chairman, was, I think, a very difficult one for me, because I wanted to vote no, because I thought that there was still a chance to have more conversations with the Department of Interior rather than issue the subpoena. I also didn't think yesterday that the extraordinary effort has been exhausted. But and the chairman knows I have a great deal and healthy respect for him, and I respect and I still do. I just last night, just before I went to bed, thinking about what we did yesterday, also, Mr. Chairman, and just couldn't find comfort that we did that. But we did take a vote. We are issuing subpoenas, and I would also like very much to bring the Secretary of Interior here. If we need the answers here, we need the Secretary of Interior to give us the answers. And I encouraged and urged the Chairman to include the Secretary in the. And at this time, I yield my remaining time to the ranking member, Mr.
I thank the gentleman very much. And again, let me just state for the record, we have not invited the CEOs of BP, Transocean, Halliburton to sit here. This is the greatest crime in the history of America against the environment. Bringing in mid-level officials at these companies is not taking this issue seriously. So when you bring in the CEOs of these companies and you are staring them down, you are getting the answers, then it's serious. This is not serious. Ms. Kendall, Mo Udall, by the way, Mo Udall, the great chairman of this committee for so many years, he used to have a saying. He used to say, everything has been said, but not everyone has said it. So on their side, they keep saying the same things over and over again. You keep giving the same answers. And they hate the answers. They just hate these answers. Because at this point, we still don't have any understanding of what it is that they're saying went wrong. This is executive privilege. It's controlled by the president. Everyone can have an opinion on executive privilege, but the president, the secretary, they exercise the decision on executive privilege, not you. It's not your decision. Isn't there a point that you have to ask, again, what is the legal basis for asking questions? Ms. Kendall, are you familiar with the works of Franz Kafka? Well, in Kafka's The Trial, a man is charged with a crime without being told the process of the trial or even what he is being charged with. Ms. Kendall, you seem to be in a similar situation. At this point, I don't even know what you're being attacked for. I still can't figure it out. Is it that you are the IG? Is it the Klamath River Basin Hydro Project, unrelated to this hearing? Is it Secretary Salazar's decision to issue the moratorium? Or is it just that Barack Obama is president, which I suspect is what is at the heart of all of this? But for you to be sitting here hour after hour without anything thus far that I can ascertain is something that they can point to you and say that you did wrong. I still am waiting for that sentence to be uttered, other than a McCarthy-esque set of questions that are asked without any evidence of anything that has not already been conclusively proven to not be true. So this is the essence of what we have here. Okay? Those who are guilty, the CEOs of these companies, they are not here. Those who have really the responsibility to make the decisions, even at the agency, we can bring in the secretary. But everything else is just kind of a sideshow. Let's have the real answers. And let's have the real showdown here on what happened in the Gulf of Mexico with the CEOs of these companies. But until you invite those CEOs, this is not a serious investigation at all. And the absence of any specific charges that you can make that make any sense is evidence of that.
Time of the gentleman has expired. Chair recognizes the gentleman